Hi, friends. How's everyone doing? I hope everyone is having a beautiful summer. I've been a little quiet myself because I've been on vacation and we've all been navigating this very potent and powerful July. There's been so many transits and configurations that everyone has been talking about. Mercury retrograde in Cancer just completed. We're finishing that shadow now. Barbeau's basket happened, and I know a lot of people were wondering where maybe the big surprises were, and if you weren't paying attention, then you may have missed some of them. But I do believe that my thoughts that I had previously in my earlier video about Barbeau's basket, that this is a very initiating transit. And even like Barbeau said, it's like the beginning of this new civilization for humanity, not something that's going to happen on the day or overnight, okay? So it does feel like a new moon kind of event that is going to unfold over many, many, many years. And yet, the seed I do feel has been collectively planted. I do sense that from the people that I've been speaking to. And I've noticed it even in my own life. I've spent the last month having an amazing vacation with family and also a wonderful new experience to a new place to connect with one of my closest cosmic friends and soul sisters, which was life-changing. And during this Mercury retrograde time, I've been sitting with a lot of questions that I think are very much in alignment with the astrology. And as I'm somebody who lives with astrology, I knew that there would be certain questions on the table, right? And one of them, for someone like myself who's a Cancer rising, it is around identity and who I'm becoming. But this is a theme for everyone because the Mercury retrograde in Cancer was asking us all to kind of look back to earlier life experiences, childhood, maybe even family origin stories, and just the past in terms of what we've learned about who we are and where we came from. And we need to know that and understand that in order to be clear about where we go next, right? And for me, as a Cancer rising, it was very much about my identity as a nurturer. And I looked back and realized I have been nurturing my whole life. I started out in a career of hospitality and waiting tables where I literally served food and took care of people that way. And then I moved into a job where I literally made lunch for our clients every day and was the sort of welcoming front office person, and then nurtured even all the way through the company to the owner and became his assistant. And then when I became a wife and a mother, it was all about nurturing my family. But along that way, along that journey, I found astrology, and it really helped me understand myself and that this is who I am, but only a part of who I am. And the larger story of who I'm becoming from that place of nurturing is shifting and changing. And I've started to consider this idea that the focus on doing more is not necessarily the way forward. And with my moon in Libra, and that being my chart ruler, I do know that I really enjoy and need peace and harmony in my home and in my relationships. And I have made that a priority, and it is very much who I am, and I've enjoyed that and loved that, and I still do. But I've also realized that sometimes I may have confused that nurturing with overgiving or overcarrying. And this Mercury retrograde has helped me really prioritize my own needs more and not in a way that I no longer nurture in the same ways, but that I also make myself an equal part of that nurturing. And it's kind of like evolved to a next level for me. So I don't have to carry the responsibilities that I always have or that I've chosen to. And sometimes we realize that the things that we hold on to or the things that we do for others and the nurturing we do, especially as women, wives, and mothers, in a way it keeps us stuck from focusing on ourselves and nurturing ourselves because we make everyone else and everything else a priority. And this summer has been about realizing where I don't need to do that anymore or as much. Bringing life into a better balance has been really helpful and enlightening in many ways. Not easy, and even came with some tears and some conversations that were hard, but that deepened relationships and made things better. And I think that's been a beautiful result, and usually is when you're willing to go there and have hard conversations or be vulnerable and share how you're really feeling or where things have come from, that you can no longer deny. So right now, Saturn has now shifted retrograde. The nodes of fate have moved into Aquarius and Leo, and we are approaching our Aquarius full moon, which is conjunct this opposition of Barbo's basket. So the Aquarius full moon is conjunct Pluto, and the sun is conjunct Jupiter on the other side of that, which is the opening of the basket, the configuration that we are sitting in still, because Jupiter's just moved forward a little bit. And I love this this invitation that another astrologer mentioned, I believe it was Lori Lothian, about what are you going to put in your basket? And there are many opportunities for filling up our lives in more meaningful ways and filling up our cups in more meaningful ways that are in the offering. And with Pluto conjunct the moon in Aquarius, it is about maybe letting go or the dissolving of some patterns and ways of connecting that are no longer serving us. And that's around friendships and groups. And I've realized this summer too that the connection of friends in person is so meaningful and so missed. And the idea of creating community where there really is reciprocity and connection in deeply meaningful ways is something that I desire strongly. And I think many more people are desiring that kind of connection. On the other side of that, with the sun conjunct Jupiter, it's this time to really step fully into our solar energy, our creative energy, and to expand our hearts and our desires and passions and creativity and pleasures, but not from a place of selfish aggrandizement or personal power over, but rather shining our gifts and our light in the world and on others in a way that allows everyone to do the same. That's that collective shift. And I think more and more people are coming to that realization. And I think this Aquarius full moon is asking us about what are we learning now and what is evolution asking of us. Collectively, we are at this place that is an entirely new chapter that I think everybody's feeling, but it's kind of like, okay, what is my role in that as an individual? And I think that's something that even I'm exploring. It's like, what is that for me? What does that mean for me? How do I want to share my wisdom or my insights to help other people find their path and their purpose and follow their dreams or nurture their connections and their personal growth journeys, as an individual? So something I've been wrestling with as I've reflected on this is that for years I've kind of, like many people, measured my value based on the response it received. And whether it's a video, like how many people watched it, or how many clients I've had, or how many people signed up for something I was doing. And this summer I realized that actually the question is, did it make a difference? And is what I'm doing making a difference? Very Aquarian. And I am an Aquarius. So I've always wanted to make a difference. And although I know I make a difference in the lives of people who are closest to me, I have a bigger desire to make a difference in the world and to do something meaningful with my life that can serve beyond my time here. And I think that is been a little bit of a paradox in my own life, because I know I've made a difference in the lives of the people that I am closest to and that I have loved and nurtured. And that should be enough. So this other part of me that desires to offer something to the masses feels sometimes like an ego thing, or that I'm ungrateful in some way for what I have, which is not the case. So I think that what I really feel this full moon is asking is to get really honest with the parts of us that want recognition and love and acceptance and abundance, and why we want that. Is it for self-aggrandizement, or is it to feel worthy? Or if we're leading from our hearts and with a pure intention of wanting to serve others, then why is success not there? Why are people are not naturally drawn to that, or you can't find success if that's your intention? And I feel like it's almost like when I was an actor and I would go on an audition and I wouldn't get the part, and you would belabor about why and judge yourself, and I didn't do this or wasn't that, and there's a million and one reasons why you wouldn't get a part that could have nothing to do with you at all. In fact, 9 times out of 10, it doesn't. They're trying to fill a certain look, or to make it blend with an entire cast, or maybe your particular personality didn't match another artist's vision of that character. But it doesn't mean that you aren't skilled, that you aren't creative, that you aren't awesome. But it can leave someone feeling that way. And I think that's the crux here, is like that we determine our value based on what other people think or say or how they respond. And I think the death with Pluto and Aquarius here is that that's not real. The reality check is that is not the reality. But if you believe that, Jupiter, if that is your belief, then you will live in this constant struggle to prove yourself, to prove your value. I think that is changing for many of us. And during the Saturn retrograde in Aries, it's a time to really sit with our identity, which is Aries' first house, and who we've built ourselves to be or built ourselves up to be, or things that we've done in our life that have defined us, and kind of looking at a reality check on that and honor maybe who you are from where you've been, and then recognizing that things are shifting and it's not who you are anymore, who you have to be anymore, who you want to be anymore, and you want to build something different, something new, something in a new way. And I think that Saturn in Aries retrograde over these next 5 months is going to be a time to do that, to sit back and rethink about who we really are, what we're really doing, why we're really doing it, what is the purpose, what is the desire behind it. And on the other side of that, once Saturn moves into Taurus in a few years, maybe that's when we can see the results of something that we did, or that's when we really get the message that the value does not come from others. Because maybe you'll work on something for the next few years, and when it moves into Taurus, you won't see the benefits that you imagined or expected, but maybe you'll see different benefits. Those are the things that we can't know. So why do we do what we do? We have to make a choice to work on something, and we don't necessarily know if we're going to get the results that we hope for or that we expect. So why are we doing it? And I think that's the key, is to focus on the intention of why we're doing something instead of the result we hope to get from doing it. And that's the story of life, I think, ultimately. Yeah. So this is going to be a time to really reflect on those things. And I think Uranus and Gemini making a nice trine to this Pluto and full moon is saying, yeah, think about doing something different. Think about the awakenings that are coming in and the shifts of consciousness and awareness and thought patterns themselves that are changing. And Neptune also in Aries is saying it's time to dissolve and burn away the ego that is holding you back from true self-expression, or dropping the mask that you think everyone wants you to wear, or you think might get you where you want to go. And so I do think that this configuration and this particular full moon that's taking us into the next eclipse season, which are inertia shifter times, are asking these questions. And we're going to have the nodes of fate in Aquarius and Leo for the next 18 months. So this, again, is a larger cycle. I think that's kind of the message. I think the message of this summer is, in this retrograde we're heading into, is to slow down and realize that we don't have to work so hard. We don't have to push so hard. And we have to allow time for these things to unfold. And patience is not a strong suit of most humans, I find, myself included. But this summer has really taught me the value of just slowing down and sitting in a moment and living in a moment with the energies, because you can learn astrology all you want, but it won't make a difference in your life until you learn, or not even learn, until you live with it, until you allow the energies to wash over you, and for you to understand more deeply the invitation of the energies for you. That, to me, is the value of astrology, and understanding our natal chart, so that we can understand what the energies of the cosmos are inviting us to learn about ourselves, to express more honestly, and to bring to humanity as a whole as part of our human participation. Our reason for being here is to fully understand what it is to be human and to have this experience, all of this experience, and to remember that we're more than just being human, that there is a collective connection, an energetic connection, a connection to each other and to the cosmos and to what's beyond, that is mysterious and magical, but also undeniable because we feel it, even if we aren't fully aware of it or we can speak to it. So I do feel like we're in some very, very mystical, magical, uncertain, wild, crazy turning point times. And there aren't going to be predictions that are clear about what's going to happen. So this is where the work becomes finding our communities, finding our connections to the things and the people and the work that is really meaningful in our lives and lights us up. And finding out how and where we can shine our gifts to help other people discover their own and to connect with people in ways that help bring us together as a collective, as opposed to dividing us further. So these are just a few of my thoughts and reflections about the summer, where we're at now, and the Aquarius full moon we're approaching this Wednesday, and where we might open ourselves to contemplate the future and where we're headed as individuals and as a collective. And I'm on this journey with you. I'm also discovering these things for myself and growing, evolving through my own contemplation and connections and sitting with myself, reflecting on my life, reflecting on the relationships that are meaningful to me, and dreaming about what's possible and exploring what I truly desire in a way that I never have before. And I think all of us are sitting at this kind of precipice. And I just invite you to honor that place that you're at, wherever it is, and welcome in whatever might be yours. And also allow whatever isn't to fall away naturally. One of the things that I feel the most passionate about is when I can have a conversation with a client or a friend or anybody open to astrology and offer them a new perspective so they can sit with things in a way that allows them to find themselves a little bit more, learn a little something more about themselves, discover a little bit more about themselves, and improve their lives from a place of real authenticity. And that's my hope for this full moon for everyone, that you can see your life and the people in it and your hopes, wishes, and dreams from a new perspective that allows you to transform and evolve and grow on your own journey forward in whatever way that might be, for your highest good and for your highest evolution, and brings you the most joy and fulfillment possible. Take care, friends. Thanks for listening, and keep nurturing your astrology. Talk to you soon.